The nutrient management plan scavenger hunt that I put up seems to be causing a lot of confusion. And if a lot of kids aren't doing well on a quiz, what that tells me is that I did not teach the information appropriately. So what I want to do is walk through this particular scavenger hunt with you, show you the sorts of things that I'm looking at, that I want you to see. And then I'm going to put up another scavenger hunt focused on fields and crops, and I'd like you guys to work through that individually. We will use that score, but not the one from this particular scavenger hunt, because to be quite honest, most of you aren't doing very well on it. Again, I think that's my fault, not yours. So the first question on this scavenger hunt was, how many total acres of crop and hayland does this farmer have? And that's right here on the front page of the nutrient management plan right here. Total acres of cropland and hayland is going to be 109.1 plus 45.3, get to just about 155 acres of crop and hayland. The next question is, how much manure storage does this farmer have expressed in terms of months? This metric, months of manure storage, is really important on livestock farms, and it is simply a comparison between the amount of manure his animals are producing and the size of his manure storage. And so we'll do a little bit of math. Right here on page 1, down at the bottom, it says that his cows are producing 771.9 kilogallons per year. So that is 771,900 gallons per year. You just got to always make sure that your units are the same. And I'm putting this into gallons because that's how he's measuring his manure storage. So where do we find the volume of manure storage that he's got? I'm going to go to the next page. I'm going to look at the narrative. And right up here in this first paragraph, it says his manure pit is 80 feet by 80 feet and is designed to hold 500,000 gallons of manure. And so that's the other number that we need, 500,000 gallons of manure. So if he is producing 771,900 gallons a year and he has storage for 500,000 gallons, the math is gallons divided by gallons per year is going to get you the years of storage. We'll just convert that into months of storage. So if he's got about 2/3 of a year of storage, he's got 7.77, just shy of 8 months worth of storage. So gallons divided by gallons per year gives you the yearly volume. So he can hold 2/3 of a year's worth of manure. And just expressing that in months gives you just shy of 8 months worth of storage. So again, this is a really important metric on farms because they need to have enough storage to get through the winter, to get through any period of time that he can't apply manure. So this guy's got about just shy of 8 months worth of storage. And the next question is, from the farm narrative, what do you expect to find as nutrient outputs from the farm? And that is specific to this farm. And so let's just read through the farm narrative. All manure is collected, they graze, but are considered 100% confined. Calves and replacement heifers are contracted to be raised on a neighboring farm. So one of the nutrient outputs is going to be literally those calves when they leave the farm and go to the neighbor's farm. Remember that when we are talking about nutrient inputs and nutrient outputs, we're talking about things that cross the farm boundary. And so this question is asking about nutrient outputs. And so we're looking for anything that literally leaves the farm. Calves leave the farm. There's your manure storage. It's cleaned out in the spring and the fall, but that's not an export. The loafing area is 100%. That isn't relevant. Crop rotation is You got corn, you got barley, you got soybeans, you got dairy manure applied, you've got barley in the fall. So I don't see any nutrient exports there. Don't see any nutrient exports here. And so the only farm-specific thing that I found for nutrient outputs is the calves and the heifers. And so to complete this answer probably requires a little more knowledge of a dairy farm than many of you have. So nutrient outputs from any farm is going to be the animal products that they are producing. and then any crops that they sell, and then any animals that they sell. Remember all of this from the whole farm nutrient balance. So this says that he's selling calves, or he's moving calves off the farm to go to the neighboring farm. Good, got that. This is a dairy farm, so he's selling milk. This is a dairy farm, and so a certain number of cows every year are going to be sold off the farm called cull cows. So as cows reach the end of their productive life, they are culled, C-U-L-L-E-D, which means shipped for meat. And again, that's something that maybe not all of you would have known. The only other thing I see that might be a nutrient export is it says he's a cash grain farming operation. And again, that's subtle. A cash grain farming says that he sells some crops. That's not detailed here in the narrative. We could probably figure out the details later on, but since it says cash grain farming, it's a dairy and a cash grain farm. The exports are going to be the products of the dairy, which is milk, calves, and cull cows. And then the grain. I see no evidence here that he's exporting manure, so manure would not be a correct answer here. So answers for number 3 would be milk, calves, and grain. 4 of them. The next question is, what is the source of irrigation water? So let's go back to this narrative and read it. Nothing about irrigation water there. It says something about water. He uses grass waterways, but that's not an irrigation water. What's the source? Oh, look! Fields 10 and 11 are irrigated by traveling gun using the Pamunkey River as the source of water. So the Pamunkey River would be the answer to number 4. The reason I asked that specifically is that means that the Pamunkey River, river water, is also an input to the farm. The next question is from the farm narrative, what do you expect to find as nutrient imports to the farm? Well, that is water that is coming onto the farm. Do I expect it to have a lot of nitrogen and phosphorus or other nutrients in it? No, but there's likely to be some. And so what do you expect to find as nutrient inputs to the farm? One of the correct answers is river water. Another is feed to feed the cows. A third would be commercial fertilizer. Let's just read and see if it says anything about commercial fertilizer. Yada, 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 yada. So the commercial fertilizer is not explicitly defined in the farm narrative. I know to go ahead to look at the field section of this nutrient management plan and look just to see if there are any commercial nutrients added. And right here is where I see that he is applying commercial nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium to some of his fields. That's not something that I would have expected you to know automatically. So 3 answers here are going to be the feed for the cows, the commercial fertilizer that he is using, the Pamunkey River irrigation water. The 4th answer is specific to this farm. Remember up here where it said calves and replacement heifers are contracted to be raised on a neighboring farm, and well, those heifers get brought back onto Will Dahlin farms when they are ready to calve. Again, that's a dairy-specific piece of information that I shouldn't have expected you to know. But if he's sending the calves off to be raised on a neighboring farm, that implies that he's bringing them back when it's time for them to start milking. And so those bred heifers are a nutrient import. Know it. The answer to number 5 would be nutrient imports are the irrigation water, feed for the cows, fertilizer for the fields, and those older heifers that are being brought back on. The final question is pretty straightforward. How often does he have to have this nutrient management plan renewed? We will read down through. I didn't see anything about renewal here. Didn't see anything about renewal here. I'll keep going. Soil nitrate, manure samples, manure application, manure application, spreader calibration. So here are just general recommendations. And then you keep going, and it says the nutrient management plan should be revised at least once every 3 years to make adjustments for crop rotations, manure nutrient analysis, and soil test information. That's pretty standard that a nutrient management plan is written for a 3-year window of time. And so 3 years is the answer to that final question. Again, I recognize that when I made this assignment, I assumed more background knowledge than you probably have. So that's why I've walked through this assignment with you. I'm going to go ahead and open up the next scavenger hunt that you will be assigned, and I'll just maybe walk through a little bit of that with you and give you an idea of where to look. That won't be due for another couple of weeks.